You don't really believe that.
Oh, so you're telling me that it would be
Well,
celebrated? They were pushing back against Markwayne Mullin.
Well, hold on. You tell me. Is there, even between Tulsi Gabbard and Bill Pulte, is there even an equivalence between those two?
Do you hear me supporting Pulte? I'm simply saying that the Democrats are getting into the problem.
We haven't even talked about the Democrats. We're talking about the Republicans.
I agree, and I'm.
In light of Tulsi Gabbard stepping down as the head of DNI, we have seen Bill Pulte, who has been put in the position as the acting head of DNI since June 2nd. Now, in this clip, we're going to see the CNN panel just descend into absolute chaos, back and forths, because of the fact that he's been given the position. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end. Let's get into it.
But first, the man that Donald Trump is appointing to serve as the nation's top intelligence officer has never served in an intelligence or defense or a national security role ever. The president announced via social media that Bill Pulte, who currently leads the Federal Housing Finance Agency and who pressed for investigations into Trump's political enemies, will be in that role and will serve as acting director of national intelligence. Pulte will replace Tulsi Gabbard, who announced that she's stepping down last month, and he's set to oversee 18 intelligence agencies as well as the production of the president's daily brief. Now, reaction to this decision to appoint Pulte, whose qualifications arguably begin and end at loyalty to Donald Trump, Republican leadership had trouble defending the controversial move. Listen.
I'll defer to the chairman on that. We were just made aware of that appointment this morning. Obviously, it's something that if the administration decides to pursue a permanent appointment to that position, have to come through the Congress and have confirmation hearings and ultimately a vote here in the Senate.
We have 4 more weeks with Director Gabbard as the DNI. I have no observations on the matter.
That's got to be one of the funnier things I've seen today. I mean,
Tom Cotton is so shy.
I was going to
He doesn't have very much to say ever.
He is usually not one to not have much to say. No observations on the matter. This is one of the rare things. I would say it's like the slush fund and this are two things that I think really have put Republicans in such a tough spot and have actually shocked them, truly shocked them.
Well, you know, the observation has been the system is working when Republicans push back and then the Trump administration ends up rescinding something. I don't know the reasons behind Pulte being chosen here. It doesn't make sense on the surface, but we also haven't heard directly from the administration. I'd want to at least listen to it. But yeah, on the surface, I don't think it's the best move. The problem, I think, with a lot of this is you have all the Democrats saying exactly what they would have said no matter who was the choice. And that's where that is 100% the case. How many Democrats supported Tulsi Gabbard? Well, there were none. It doesn't matter. It does not matter who was chosen. The response was always going to be negative. I think it's more impactful when we're hearing from Republicans or not hearing from Republicans. That's what really matters here.
Jason, you don't, let me be honest.
Saying that's the part that matters. The Democrats do not.
We don't see any qualifications for this guy, okay? John Cornyn, I don't see any qualifications. John Thune, we don't need a weaponized DNI. Lisa Murkowski, Gabbard had a level of background that you would say, okay, I understand that. I'm not sure he does. So I don't think this is really about knee-jerk partisanship, and I don't think you think it's about knee-jerk partisanship.
I'm saying for the Democrats,
there are either qualifications or are there not. But are Democrats right?
Yeah, no, that's my point. Is I'm saying
yes,
that
they are.
Yes, in this case, I believe that they are.
My point,
Democrats.
Listen, the graphic you just had up.
Fair assessment of how Democrats have treated every single appointment from this administration.
Okay, but listen, the graphic you just had up of Republicans, the graphic that we just saw of Republicans talking against this included John Cornyn, included Tom Tillis, included
People
Bill
who
Cassidy.
the Trump administration have called out
who are now free to exercise their
John
conscience.
Thune, who's the
but I think, listen, I think a lot of Republicans held their nose, bit their tongue, gave Donald Trump a lot of leeway and grace, and voted for people who they thought were clearly unqualified. People like RFK Jr., people like Kristi Noem, people like Pam Bondi, and it has turned into an absolute disaster for the administration. I think that 5 months away from an election, with all of these folks who are now free to speak and do what their conscience is asking them to do, you are not going to get the same level of complicity from the Republican
Go ahead,
Senate.
Brad. Let me go ahead.
I would agree that what the Democrats say about any Trump nominee doesn't matter because they're against Trump. If he cured cancer, they'd be against Trump. Now, the Republican senators, their current objections to this nomination or caution on it, and frankly, their position with regard to several things with the White House is noteworthy. Last week, I sat in that chair and said that the Republicans leaving town rather than approving reconciliation in protest of the slush fund was a big deal. I was laughed at on this table. In fact, it was a big deal. That's why the slush fund is not there anymore.
You were laughing.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. Last week at this show, the Republican Senate.
I wasn't here.
There's 100 parties. There's 100 parties in the U.S. Senate, right? There's not two, and they all have the ability to shut the place down or pull the fire alarm. And so, I think that the White House has a problem with this nomination. I don't think that they're going to be able to sell it. I think, as John Thune said it, if he's an acting secretary, that's great.
It's not great.
John Thune is saying if you want to run him through the.
I guess what I'm asking you, and I'll let you get in a second, but what I'm asking you is like, putting aside the politics, can he get confirmed, can he not? This is an actual national security job. He has a real role in this administration. Does it not concern you, even in the slightest, that even on an acting basis, someone who has zero qualifications,
the first job qualification in any national security job is, does the president trust you? That's
hold on.
Every president.
No, actually,
the statute for this one says that you have to have a national security background,
and the president has to trust you, or he won't.
Hold on.
But the statute says
the statute,
for this
the statute says the director of national intelligence shall have extensive national security experience.
That's why John Thune says he'd have
and
to
so
go through the committee.
my question, again, the question really that we're facing is not just can he be confirmed, because he probably can't be confirmed, but if he doesn't meet the statutory requirements for the job, should he be placed in a job of sensitive national security importance?
And I think people at home may not understand how central this particular person is. The reason we have this person is because all of our intelligence agencies forgot to coordinate, and we had 9/11. So this is really the traffic cop for all of the intelligence that comes into the country from our allies and all that our 13 different agencies are collecting. This is the most sensitive job. It's the most important job. If he does his job badly, Americans could die. This is not something to fool around with. This is not something to play around with. And what you're seeing the president do is abuse this kind of acting. Everybody knows he's not going to get this guy through the U.S. Senate. But what he's going to do is put Americans at risk for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, while a complete crackerjack candidate, I mean, literally, you could just open up a crackerjack box, pull anything out, and that would be more qualified than this candidate. And so this is a very dangerous moment for America. And if something bad happens, remember this night. If something bad happens to America, remember this night.
Well, and it's also, yes, our national security. But the reason why Trump wants him in this role is because we have an election coming up. And he knows that Democrats are likely going to sweep the House and potentially the Senate. And he needs a DNI director there that will potentially cast doubt on the election, whether it is foreign interference. He can use any tool at his disposal to potentially not only cast doubt, but to question the results of the election. And he doesn't need to have him there for a year. All he needs to do is have him in that position from now until the end of the year or until the new Congress is certified to potentially stop certification. And this is what people are worried about. And when I say people, this is what outside groups and others are worried about when it comes to this.
Are you already pre-selling post-election chaos?
I am telling you what the president has his eye on. The president doesn't have,
How do you know?
his eye on
How do you know that's
the
what he
national,
has his
because
eye on?
we already had Tulsi Gabbard go in and look at boxes in Georgia.
From
when
6
that is
years
not
ago.
when that is not the role of the DNI director. We know that the president likes to cast doubt on elections, as he has done
Wait a minute.
before.
Let's don't project
we know
that
the
forward.
president will
Let's
use.
presume-
We know the president will use every tool at his disposal.
Everybody's going to try to
put
run this election
doubt
on
in
the
the
up and
election. That should concern everybody.
There were
And not
Democrats
only that,
who said
but
the
not only
entire
that,
time that he was going
whole
to
time.
cancel the
Hold on,
election.
I am
So
not-
at least
I'm
we've
not
gotten
done.
away from that.
One last
hold
thing.
on.
Wow.
The statute actually says,
hold on, Jason. Trump raised the issue of canceling the election. Don't put that on Democrats.
Said he wasn't
Hold
going
on,
to allow
hold
an
on,
election
Jason.
to even occur.
Hold on, Jason.
They said that from the beginning.
Just to be clear, the only person who has talked about canceling elections is Donald Trump. He has put that in
not
writing.
true. That is
And
not
also, and on top of that, what Sochi is talking about is not just supposition. Trump has repeatedly already, before this moment, cast doubt on the upcoming election. So it's not just the past, it's also the present, it's the future. It would be, I think, disingenuous to suggest that he doesn't
having
have
this
that
election
top of
in an
mind.
honest and fair way.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But the
that
president has this on his mind. There's no question about
something
that.
that has gotten
He said
precious
so.
little attention that also we learned about today is that this was not the only troubling appointment today, right? He also appointed Elias, what's his name? A insurrectionist from January 6th, appointed him to a very high-profile position within the Secretary of Defense, within the Defense Department, that's going to be in charge of counterterrorism, embassy security, and hostage rescue policy. So we are talking a guy convicted for a misdemeanor during January 6th is now appointed by Trump to have Elias Irizarry.
All right.
Well, it's not a high-profile position, but it's important.
It should trouble the hell out of you that somebody that was convicted as an insurrectionist.
Well, he wasn't convicted as an insurrectionist.
He was convicted
It was a misdemeanor. I don't think you should have the job, but I also find the inconsistency with the left who tells us that if you are a felon, you should be getting second and third and fourth chances.
So you think January 6ers should serve in the administration?
No, I literally
What's the inconsistency with the left? The right gave a felon second chance as president.
We're going to leave it there. Next for us in an about face.
Republicans, I can't even bring myself to understand how these guys do what they do with a genuine straight face, especially him, Jason Rantz. I'll never, ever, ever understand it. Now, my thoughts on the acting DNI appointment. So some of the points that it is that they already went over is obviously the fact that he has no prior intelligence experience whatsoever. We already know that, but just from doing a bit of my own research, this is actually quite interesting. Now, federal law actually requires the DNI to have extensive national security experience. Now, this is a standard that Bill Pulte, he doesn't meet in any way, shape or form. He doesn't. Now, Rep. Jim Himes, a ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee, said, Pulte is not qualified even by Trump administration standards, adding his sole qualification is unconditional devotion to Donald Trump. Now, that right there should, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, that right there should speak volumes, because this is clearly not an individual that is here to do the job that the head of the DNI should be doing. This is obviously someone who is here, who has loyalty to Donald Trump and will do whatever Donald Trump's bidding regardless. That's exactly what this is. And when you actually take a look at some of the concerns when it comes to the weaponization of this appointment, Bill Pulte has previously referred some of Trump's perceived political foes to the Department of Justice on mortgage fraud allegations, which obviously then makes people think, well, like, he's obviously going to use intelligence tools to a very similar way of what it is that he's done previously. And that should be an issue for absolutely everyone. Absolutely everyone. Now, the fact that it is that you have actual Republicans that are actually growing a bit of a spine and coming out and saying what it is that they're saying, this is important. But the problem for me is that it's a bit late, guys. It's a bit late. Why are you only now coming to the party on this? Why are you only now growing a spine and standing up to Donald Trump? That should be something that worries each and every single one of you as Americans. Interesting stuff. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below as usual. See you guys in the next one.